Hello fellas, it's me, Swine, and I'm here today to talk about a Touhou fan game. So for those who are familiar with my introduction to Touhou video, shameless plug, you should recall my previous experience with MegaMari. So I figured before 2019 ends, I'll treat y'all with a MegaMari video. I'm going to try to go in depth with this review, and I will be comparing it to Mega Man when appropriate, since, you know, this game is based off of Mega Man 2 to be specific. But anyways, let's jump right into this review. This game was created by Twilight Frontier. Many of you are familiar with that name. They worked on the fighting game spin-offs for the series, as well as the upcoming game, Touhou Goikyu Iban. They've also made some fan games themselves, which I may or may not cover later. So the plot of this game is that Patchouli Knowledge is getting tired of Marissa, and I guess Alice too, of stealing her books. So Patchouli has the idea of putting her books somewhere else, as in a different dimension. That's not going to stop Marissa, because all she wants is to find those damn books. So now's off to fight the robot Wait, we can't call them robot masters. We gotta fight through 8 familiar Touhou characters and take down Patchouli. The gameplay is pretty simple to understand. You control either Marissa Kurisame or Alice Margachoid, and you can switch between them at any time. They have their own separate health bars and default attack. Marissa has a buster which is akin to Mega Man's Mega Buster before it was able to charge. Alice has a beam that can fire across the screen, piercing enemies, and even deals more damage up close. If one of them dies, you lose a life. In a similar vein to something like Mega Man Extreme 2 or Mega Man X7. Also similar to Mega Man Extreme 2, they each get their own different weapons. And whoever collects the orb after defeating the boss gets the weapon. I've tested out each of the weapons from 2 different playthroughs to tell you which one's the better one to get. And technically a third playthrough, primarily Buster only. But with that out of the way, let's get right into the stages. We go to the Misty Lake as we challenge our first boss, Cirno. The start of the stage is more or less a straightforward walk through the first couple screens. We then encounter a familiar face, Lily White. She fires out 4 spread shots that travel vertically. As long as you position yourself correctly, Lily White is a breeze to take out, although it can get tricky at times combined with platforming. There's a tricky ice section near the end of the stage, but other than that, this stage is pretty easy. Pretty chill if I say so. Wait, Cirno, I'm sorry, don't do this to me. Alright, now that I've dealt with Cirno, I'll talk about her boss fight. Cirno likes to use many icicle-based attacks. Icicles here, icicles there, icicles on the ceiling, tiny icicles, giant icicles, you get the point. Her strongest attack is forming a giant icy snowball and flinging it at you. Marissa's buster can't deal damage to Cirno, so switch to Alice and use her buster instead. The snowball can be tricky to jump over at first, but eventually you'll get the timing down. If you didn't start with Cirno and have either the Psycho Missile or Mental Sacrifice, they can be used to defeat Cirno much faster. With Cirno defeated, you can get either Ice Vulcan for Marissa or White Rose Cluster for Alice. The Ice Vulcan is an auto-fire weapon, so whenever you hold down the attack button, it shoots automatically. It functions similarly to Needle Cannon from Mega Man 3. It's an okay weapon, but Marissa gets much better weapons later on. The White Rose Cluster is a charge weapon. It's like a combination of Atomic Fire and Pharaoh Shot. It goes from small to medium to large. And when the charge is medium or large, you can run through enemies, as long as they're not immune to it. After about 10 seconds, it does fire on its own. I say White Rose Cluster is better than Ice Vulcan, although neither weapon's amazing. The weapon, however, will be great for dealing with the next boss. Following the weakness order, we head to Aiente to take on Eirin Yagokoro. Oh, and did I say Aiente? No, I meant the Realm of Tay. Oh hey, there's Rumia. Rumia, why did you turn the lights off? And then later on, we could see the Prism River sisters. Lunasa, Merlin, and Lyrica. Alice has an easier time with Lunasa and Merlin, while Marissa has an easier time dealing with Lyrica. And if you like character cameos, say hello to Medicine Melancholy. She throws poison balls at you. Just imagine Donkey Kong from the original arcade game. That's Medicine. I haven't talked about this stage that much, so let's do that now. This stage is hard. And annoying. And now, welcome to reasons why I think this stage is hard and annoying. This screen sucks. You have to correctly time when to jump on the ladder and climb up the ladder, while at the same time avoiding these enemies. Even if you're just a slight bit late, you will be taking damage. And even if you're on time, this enemy does not want you to climb this ladder. That's the only problem I have with this stage before the checkpoint. Now after the checkpoint, we get introduced to this jerk, Mekate. It seems pretty tame at first, but then you have to fight 2 of them at once. And they're infinitely respawning. These sections are just annoying to deal with. The best strategy for these sections are to bait the Tays to fly higher. And if you're using Alice, don't bother trying to kill them. You deal too little damage to them, and they'll probably hit you before you can kill them. You can nab yourself a mushroom tank here if you go right at the boss door, but you have to deal with these jerks before you can get that. Mushroom tanks function similar to E-tanks in that they restore your health to full. There's 2 other tanks in this game, and you can carry out the 4 tanks at once. However, if you game over, you lose all your tanks. So definitely know when to use a tank, because if you don't, you won't have that tank anymore. So Eirin Yagokoro. Eirin with the buster only. Why is this fight so hard? She jumps all around the screen shooting projectiles. All other projectiles are a pain in the ass to dodge and require precision in your jumps. Hitting Eirin is also a pain because your shots completely go over her if you're above her. These green slime balls are a pain, you have to take them down with just your buster. Force Crisis is easy to dodge until it gets combined with a lot more projectiles. And Eirin herself. There's a lot of factors that make this fight hard buster only. In fact, I wasn't able to beat her buster only until just recently, although I had to use a mushroom tank. If you're going into this fight, I highly recommend using Ice Vulcan or White Rose Cluster. White Rose Cluster in particular, because if you have a medium or large charge, you can stand right in front of her. It makes this fight so much easier. For beating Eirin, you either Black Lotus for Marissa or Force Crisis for Alice. Black Lotus shoots 2 shots, one going up, and the other move along floors, in a similar vein to Search Snake. It has its uses here and there, even late game. Not much else to really say about it. Force Crisis is a meteor-like weapon that's hard to hit, but it deals a lot of damage, especially to bosses. The closest comparison I have is Exo Crush from Mega Man 8, and this weapon shouldn't really be used outside of a few bosses. Both weapons are decent, but I would say get Force Crisis just because of its boss kill capabilities. Marissa gets better weapons anyway, so you aren't missing out on too much. So with Eirin down, let's go to another final boss stage, Yuyuko Saigyouji. At the start of the stage, you get attacked by giant chess pieces. There's an obvious spot to hit them, and they aren't that big of a threat at all. We also encounter spirits, which come in 3 different colors, blue, pink, and purple. Blue and pink are easy to deal with, but the purple ones are on your ass constantly. That will become apparent in a later stage. In this section, you can farm off blue spirits if desired. After that, you can almost get bodied by spikes that you couldn't see coming. God damn it, Twilight Frontier. Also to note, you can't stand on the spikes if you take damage, so you just die. Now here's a Mega Man tradition, the appearing blocks. Time to memorize some patterns. You can also grab a mushroom tank here if you're good enough at platforming. Now it's time for the Yuyuko fight. She likes to teleport from the ground floor to the air. Probably her most common way of attacking you is she forms a shield and tosses it at you, just like Woodman. She also likes to toss butterflies in the air, and they come back down, and then her laser attack. How to dodge that, you ask? Just keep walking. The fight with Yuyuko Buster only isn't too bad, but there is an issue with her. She takes reduced damage from your buster shots, so this fight can definitely drag on. Her desperation attack can be annoying to dodge, where a bunch of Don Maku fills up on the screen and she shoots lasers over and over. Time your movement carefully and attack her when you have the chance. Black Lotus can definitely speed up this fight, but Force Crisis literally takes her out in a few shots. Her weapon is either Butterfly Stream for Marissa or Reincarnation Ghost for Alice. Butterfly Stream acts like an improved version of Air Shooter from Mega Man 2 where a bunch of butterfly Don Maku are shot diagonally up. Reincarnation Ghost is a shield and a really good one, working similarly to Junk Shield from Mega Man 7. It can take quite a few hits, and you can use it again, even if you have another shield up, although that has a limit to it. The shield automatically goes away after about 10 seconds though. Both of these weapons are really good and they have their uses. I'd say Butterfly Stream is the better weapon. If you say Reincarnation Ghost is better, I can't really judge you that much. Both these weapons are really good. With that out of the way, it's time for everybody's favorite Shrine Maiden. bit into the stage, you encounter MegaMari, who acts similar to Watatsaburo, these robots, from Mega Man 2. She tries to blow you away. It doesn't deal any damage though, so you can just easily kill her. She can make a couple sections annoying, but nothing too bad. There really isn't much to talk about attacking chess pieces for this stage. It's pretty straightforward, just like Cirno's. This jump, however, it's a pain in the ass. But hey, there's a mushroom tank here, hidden in these leaves. They're handing these mushroom tanks out like candy. This 70 section can be tricky with the yin yang orbs. Now it's time. Marissa and Alice versus Reimu. Nah, screw the suspense, this is one of the easiest fights in the game. She jumps around shooting out Danmaku and yin yang orbs, which are pretty easy to dodge. The more damage you do to her, the more yin yang orbs come out on the field. It can get pretty crazy, and they deal a boatload of damage if you get hit by them. If you're persistent enough, Reimu should be dealt with pretty easily. And if you want to see her fall faster, you use either Butterfly Stream or Reincarnation Ghost. So take her out and, I wanted to pick that up with Marissa, but I got damage boosted into it. God damn it, Twilight Frontier. Anyways, the weapon you get from defeating Reimu is either Yin Yang Strike with Marissa or Homing Amulet with Alice. Yin Yang Strike is a slow but powerful projectile that bounces up and down, taking care of enemies along the way. The closest comparison I have is Wild Coil from Mega Man 7. It's really good for cleaning out tough sections of a stage with a bunch of enemies. Homing Amulet is like a nerf version of Magnet Missile from Mega Man 3. It homes in on enemies, although the damage output leaves a lot to be desired. It's not a bad weapon, it's just underwhelming. Yin Yang Strike is much better in comparison and is also one of Marissa's best weapons you can obtain. Speaking of Marissa obtaining stuff, after you beat 4 bosses, you get Marissa's Magical Broom. It functions exactly like Item 2 does from Mega Man 2, where it's a horizontal moving, rideable platform. It's super useful in case a platforming section is tricky or you just hate those appearing blocks, which we will see more of them later. If I had to sum up one word for this stage, it would be annoying. At the beginning of the stage, you encounter Hong Meiling. I don't know who pissed off Hong Meiling because she kills you in 4 hits. It's not all that bad to take her out. All you really have to do is walk towards her, and when she jumps, you jump over her. And then you destroy her with some bullets. But with that out of the way, let's get to the reason why I don't like this stage that much. The vertical climbing sections. Jumping up all these stairs is so monotonous. It's very annoying jumping up about 10 or so flights of stairs, and you have to do this twice. But to give credit where credit is due though, I actually really like this section, having to bait out the enemies. And then afterwards, you get to a screen, which is basically impossible not to take damage in. It almost feels like you have to use a special weapon here, and you can potentially play this stage first, so it doesn't really make sense to make a screen that makes you feel like you have to use a special weapon early in the game. I'm low on health after getting up these flight of stairs. Oh, look, an enemy. I could probably go into the next room, go back, and grind off that enemy. Let's do that. Well, that didn't work out. That might not have been a grind spot, but there is a grind spot in Remilia Stage, so have fun losing 5 minutes of your life to grinding. If I had to sum up Remilia's boss fight Buster only in one word, it would be chaotic. She takes less damage from the Buster just like Yuyuko, and she's much harder than her to boot. Some of the Danmaku partners are fine enough to dodge, but then you got absolute chaos filling the screen, making it very difficult to dodge. What the hell is this, a Toho game? Don't answer that. She has an attack similar to something like Flame Sag from Mega Man X2 where she bounces left and right off the walls. It's not too hard to dodge at all, although there are times where it can definitely throw you off. She can also skydive in your face. Not too bad to dodge. It's just when those attacks are combined with her Danmaku patterns, that's what makes her truly difficult. In my opinion, Remilia is the hardest boss to Buster only of the original 8, and is the only fight which I have not beaten Buster only. If you're going to fight Remilia, please use her weakness, either the Yin Yang Strike or the Homing Amulet. It doesn't make this fight brain dead though. Remilia will not hesitate to kill you. But with her out of the way finally, the weapon you get from her is either Red Magic with Marissa or the Bloody Cross with Alice. Red Magic is a horizontal projectile that leaves a trail that also hits enemies. You can also bounce off walls, which I didn't show in any of the footage. I guess this weapon's like a plasma shot from Mega Man X4. Bloody Cross is a boomerang-like weapon that you can fire in multiple directions. Similar to other boomerang-like weapons, like the Shadow Blade from Mega Man 3. I do think Bloody Cross is a better weapon than Red Magic, but there's a fight later on that makes a Red Magic more favorable to pick. If you want to make that fight easier, pick Red Magic. Otherwise, Bloody Cross is a better weapon. We're still going to be in the Scarlet Double Mansion for the next stage, Sakuya Izayoi. I find it funny how Remilia's weapon is effective against Sakuya and not the other way around, since, you know, Sakuya uses silver knives and vampires are weak to silver knives. But then again, vampires are weak to a million things in fiction, so we shouldn't get into that topic. Let's just get onto the stage. China Girl makes a triumphant return here. Oh, and now she's gone. I guess this is the secret entrance to the Scarlet Double Mansion, full of spike traps. See that spike trap there? If you get close to it, they'll fall down, so be careful with those. You'll be seeing a lot of them through this level. Oh hey Lyrica, now we have to deal with different spike traps. This time, they poke out of the holes on the ground. Oh hey look, our old friend Appearing Block. Guess it's time to use item 2. Look at this breakable wall. We don't have the weapon to break this wall, so this one-up just taunts us. This stage is actually pretty tough, but in a fun type of way, unlike Remilia Stage. But eventually, you'll get to Sakuya. Sakuya can be a bit tricky at first, throwing knives and teleporting everywhere. However, her attacks are fairly predictable, and it's not too bad of a fight. Her desperation attack is a whole bunch of knives being repeatedly thrown. At this point, it's more of getting positioning down and attacking her when you know you're safe. And of course her weakness, either Red Magic or Bloody Cross, makes her easy to deal with, and they both have ways of attacking her in the air. The weapon you receive is either Thousand Knives for Marissa, or Quicksilver for Alice. Thousand Knives is very similar to Flash Shopper from Mega Man 4, throwing in some knives to boot while you stop time. It uses up way too much weapon energy to be useful, even then I only saw myself using it in a couple instances. Quicksilver throws out 4 knives in a spread-like pattern, somewhat similar to Twin Slasher from Mega Man X4. It's fairly weak, but it can take out weaker enemies. However, it decimates the next boss. For utility purposes, I prefer Thousand Knives over Quicksilver. It'll be useful for a couple things later on in the game. Don't worry Alice, you'll get a much better weapon next stage, and we're going to talk about that stage right now. This stage is hell. That's all I need to say. Okay, let's actually talk about the stage. At the beginning of the stage, you ride in a boat with Komachi. Don't worry, she's not out for your blood. Now you have an about 56-second auto-scroller, yes I counted, to survive the onslaught of spears coming after you. Yay! Thankfully you can heal after this, but this is where the fun just begins. Remember Remilia Scarlet stage when you have to climb stairs twice? Well guess what? You have to do that again. We got more yin yang orbs, that means you're taking more damage. You can actually now have a mushroom tank here. At the end of the second stairway, you fly with Marissa's broom all the way to the left side of the screen. I would not advise this unless you want to use that mushroom tank immediately, because then you have to climb the stairs yet again. If you're using special weapons, I highly recommend using Yin Yang Strike for this stage. It makes things so much more bearable to go through. But with that out of the way, let's talk about Yomu's boss fight. Youmu may prove to be a challenge at first, but thankfully there's ways to make her easier. If you're on the opposite side as she is, it will allow you to properly react to what she does. Switch to Alice whenever she uses Ghost Cutter because it reflects Marissa's shots. The only tricky part about this fight, in my opinion, is whenever she jumps over to you with a barrage of Danmaku. Other than that, this fight is definitely manageable. Thousand Knives is useful for chipping her down, but not killing her. You'll need to finish her off without her weakness. Quicksilver, on the other hand, makes this fight a complete joke, only taking her out in a few hits. Her weapon is either Ghost Cutter for Marissa or Rolling Slash for Alice. Ghost Cutter is underwhelming, being similar to Slash Claw from Mega Man 7, but also being fairly weak. Rolling Slash is amazing. It's a quick all-body attack that he can only use in the air, similar to something like Kuenzan from Zero's Arsenal in the Mega Man games. It obliterates enemies like it's nothing, and the hitbox is active until the move ends. Roll and slash is a must-have for anybody wanting to get through the final stages of the game, so pick that up with Alice. We've gotten through 7 stages, but let's go through the final stage now. Reisen, Udongein, Inaba. We head to the Bamboo Forest, or as I like to call it, the Tay Forest. Wait, I already did this joke before. There is a hidden wall here that will give you a star tank, the only one in the game. They function exactly like the W tanks do in Mega Man, refilling all your weapons' energy. Whatever you do, don't fall for this health pickup. It's a literal trap. So bust out the magic broom and get that with it. This 1-up is pretty easy to get. Wow, the Bamboo Forest is pretty generous with these items. I'm definitely prepared to take on Reisen. Whoa. Man, why did you put a spike pit in the antechamber? I'm here to be safe, not to nearly die. The Reisen fight is pretty fun. Correctly positioning yourself is key here. She shoots out Psycho Missiles and even more in her Desperation attack. Standing close can help. Reisen may get the upper hand at first, but you can eventually overcome her. Ghost Cutter and Rolling Slash makes her easier to deal with. You get either Psycho Missile for Marissa or Mental Sacrifice for Alice. Psycho Missile can destroy walls and packs a punch since it explodes on contact. Very similar to something like Mega Man 4's Drill Bomb. Mental Sacrifice throws 4 grenade-shaped projectiles in an arc. They explode whenever they hit the ground, the enemy, or a wall. I guess the closest comparison is Dust Crusher from Mega Man 4. Both weapons are good, but Psycho Missile is better and allows for a later fight to be easier. I didn't mention this before, so I'll mention this now. If you have 4 special weapons with Alice, you get the slightly awesome Shanghai doll. It acts like Beat the Bird from Mega Man 5, where it targets enemies. The difference here is it shoots projectiles instead of rushing at them. I rarely find myself using this weapon, probably because Roll and Slash is so much better. If anybody wants a refresher on the boss difficulties, I compiled a list here, ranking the bosses from easy to lunatic. I also ended up ranking the weapons based on usefulness. At this point, I will no longer have a buster only difficulty since most of the time you'd rather fight with a weakness due to how difficult these upcoming stages are, so keep that in mind for the rest of the video. But anyways, we took care of the 8 bosses, so now we gotta take care of Patchouli herself as she flies away in her saucer. At the start of the stage, get ready to fight a whole bunch of enemies. Having Yin Yang Strike and Roll and Slash on standby definitely helps a bunch. You can have a Mushroom Tank here. Make sure you don't use Magical Room before this point because you have to use it here. These screens really love their spirits. You can grind off them if you need to. Say hello to a classic Mega Man 2 staple that a lot of fangames like to use for some reason. The Quick Man Insta-Death Laser section. Before we get into that, please remember, do not jump into this pit. You will regret it. You can nab yourself some goodies here, like a 1-up, and if you have 1,000 knives, you can get another Mushroom Tank. This section is a lot more forgiving than the infamous Quick Man Laser section, and on the first time around, I beat it. Albeit there are some dumb sections here that can get a cheap kill out of you. And whatever you do not use 1,000 knives to get this Mushroom Tank until you reach the screen. I learned that the hard way. This section before the boss is good for farming, and I had to use that a bunch, because the boss surely likes to eat your weapon energy. Ah yes, Yukari Yakumo, you one trolly little yokai. The first thing you'll notice is the floor is gone, and instead there's a bunch of small platforms you need to hop on. Sometimes you can die from the floor, not being there, and I would say, sometimes, I mean, that's how you mostly die in this boss fight. She's only vulnerable very briefly, and shoots a decently sized fireball at you. It is highly recommended to use either Red Magic or Bloody Cross to hit her with. You can also actually use Force Crisis on this boss. I wouldn't recommend it unless you know what you're doing with the weapon. Once she becomes intangible, she summons Chin and Rand, who spin around shooting projectiles. The best way to deal with them is get under them and use Butterfly Stream. Other weapons like Roll and Slash and slightly awesome Shanghai Bell help out a bunch here too. I don't think Yukari is that hard of a boss fight until you consider the floor not being there. One misstep and you're grinding for weapon energy before the boss fight. Yukari sure loves to eat your lives. But after we send her back to her nap, we got more stages to go after. There isn't too much noteworthy to talk about for this stage. It's great to refill weapon energy. You will need Magical Broom to cross these spikes, and it requires a lot of energy to do that. If you so happen to die, you're better off just getting the game over. It's way too hellish to grind here. Guess who had one of these babies as a boot when they gamed over? That's how bad it was. After some more appearing blocks, which you can't cheese now because Magical Broom has no weapon energy, you can blow up these walls with either Psycho Missile or Mental Sacrifice to get a Mushroom Tank and some more health if you need it. Watch the enemy movement to find some invisible floors, and now you gotta fight the Tay section. Something I did not know until after I recorded my footage for this, is you can actually jump up to this ladder from below the screen. But since I didn't know, I just used more Magical Broom energy. Now it's time for everybody's favorite Mega Man archetype, the Yellow Devil boss fight. This is the most boring boss fight in the game. All you do is dodge your formation, wait till Suika forms into Giant Suika, and then blast her with either Yin Yang Strike or Reincarnation Ghost. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk about this boss anymore. And just so happens Marissa was also tired of this boss, because she just ditched Alice. Welcome to Super Mario- wait. Marissa? In Mario World. Marissa Land. Now I'm going to get a million comments telling me to review that game. Okay, anyways, let's actually talk about this stage. Well, you know about the question mark blocks in the Mario games? Well, of course you know about those damn blocks. Who doesn't? You can shoot them to either get health or weapon energy. It's really good to know that because this block is complete bait. This stage is just a straightforward walk to the boss chamber. There is not really much to talk about here, besides the fact that my dumbass thought these were invisible blocks, and they turned out to be falling blocks. Well, anyways, time to face yourself. This is another Mega Man 1 boss, also known as the Copy Boss, but this time it's only stuck with the Buster. The strategy this boss has is jump, shoot, and then repeat. If you have red magic on deck, use it, since it'll whittle down this boss faster. Although, there's nothing wrong against using Buster only if you're stuck with that. So we get this boss down to half health and... no, I really have to make a Marissa Land video. Wait, whenever she stomps, blocks fall and she either rushes at you or fires off a Master Spark from her mouth. Timer jumps whenever she rushes at you, and try to get behind her whenever she charges a Master Spark. Jump behind her too early though, and she'll turn around with you. Psycho Missile does the most damage to her, so use that. You can keep using Red Magic or the Buster if desired. So with her taken care of, I wonder what Alice is up to. Hey Alice, what have you been up to? Why did Marissa leave you? Why are there Mecha Tays everywhere, and why are they out to kill you? Send help? I wonder what this ladder is doing here. Time for Ice Physics, combined with responding Mecha Tays. This is what true Lunatic looks like. Something I did not do in my footage is the secret Mega Tank. All you have to do is hold left here, and the Mega Tank can be yours. Mega Tanks act like the M-Tanks from Mega Man, where it restores her health and weapon energy. Do not miss out on this, because it makes the upcoming boss fight a lot more manageable. Hello, Achy Shiki Yamazanadu. This fight is very hard with our weakness. Use Roll and Slash, but if you don't have that, you can use something like Mental Sacrifice. You think the Meteor would be great here, but Shiki is immune to that. And just like that, I game overed on the boss. Time to do this whole stage again. This is kind of boring. Let me check Twitter while I do this section. Wait, a secret teleporter room that I just stumbled upon? And it takes me to the checkpoint? I wish I knew about this earlier so I didn't have to go through the Tay Brigade. Alright, time for round 2 of Shiki. Roll and slash, and don't look back. I know. Something like Psycho Missile if you don't have Roll and Slash. Her Danmaku attacks are pretty dangerous. The swords are pretty much impossible to dodge up close, so honestly just take the damage unless you can't. The blue swords do a bunch, but you can dodge them pretty easily. Komachi is probably the most annoying thing to dodge about her. She's telepathed to go either left or right before she comes out, and it's pretty hard to react if she's on the same side as you. If you have a Mega Tank, don't be afraid of using it. You'll need it, trust me. Yeah, we can't forget about the boss rush! But before that, you have to go through another stage. Mailing and her shadow doppelganger can be a pain to go through since you died 4 hits to her. The final mushroom tank in the game is located behind the top breakable wall, so if you have ammo for either Psycho Missile or Mental Sacrifice, you can still get it. Something fun to note is that the order of the bosses are very identical to the stage selection, so if you want to fight a specific boss, keep that in mind. Spare me the trouble about talking about these fights again. If you game over, it's back to the beginning of the stage. I shouldn't have to talk about these fights again, so instead, let's talk about the final few fights of the game. Patchouli 1. The 1 Weak Girl. This fight is easy. In fact, it's so easy, you can actually skip it. If you use 1,000 knives right before entering the room, you can jump over her and skip the fight entirely. If you don't have it, or if you just want to fight this boss, well, laser beams! Pretty much all of her attacks are telepath in a way which makes it easy to dodge. Yin Yang Strike and Roll and Slash make this fight quicker. I didn't use them though. And after you beat her, she escapes in your UFO because she couldn't breathe properly. Now it's on to the next phase. Hello, Wily Machine from Mega Man 2. How are you doing? If you have your mushroom tank still, I suggest this would be the fight to use it. You got a series of green waves, some pink lasers, and 4 fireballs. Positioning is key here. Whether for this attack to walk towards her, to walk away from her, to jump over the projectiles, make sure you're positioned properly. Blast her with either Psycho Missile or Mental Sacrifice. Now we're on to Phase 2. You still got the green waves before, except they're fired in a row. You got some bouncing fireballs, and a spread of red orbs. Butterfly Stream makes this boss kind of a joke, which I wasn't able to show properly. If you don't have that, you can use something like Force Crisis, Red Magic, Reincarnation Ghost, and of course Roll and Slash. Keep blasting at her until you deplete all her health. Afterwards, it's on to the final stage. Hello, Kawakuma. Goodbye, Kawakuma. So Patchouli Saucer is nothing special. She has a bunch of beam attacks. You can skip this fight too with 1,000 knives. Just use it right before you enter the door. So on to the final boss of the game. She's got laser shots, drill attacks, and a desperation attack that deals 75% of your health. Standing on the middle platform closest to her and jumping when an attack is about to hit you to the other platforms is the best way to approach this fight. It's honestly not that bad of a fight, although her hits do pack a punch. After we brutally murder Patchouli, we beat the game. Now that I'm finally done with this section, I can get my final thoughts on the game. The first thing I want to talk about is the music. The soundtrack itself was composed by NKZ and Uni Akiyama, aka U2. This soundtrack is amazing. It definitely sounds like a nice blend between Mega Man and Toho. Now here's some of my favorite songs from the game. I would fit every song here if I felt like it. Now time to talk about the gameplay, and just to let you know, this is my opinion. So obviously, if you feel different about this game than me, it's okay, unless you want to test me. The game itself has its fair shares of hits and misses. Some sections can be really aggravating, and then in the same stage, it can be a really great section. The best example of this is Remilia Scarlet stage. The stairs section is a pain in the ass to maneuver past, but there's sections like the one where you have to bait out the fuzzies, which I really liked. This might be an extreme example because you have to do the stair section twice, but it is an example nonetheless. There's also stages that either hit great or miss horribly. Reimu stage is an example of a stage I really like, and then Youmu stage is just ugh. The later stages are also a case of either being a hit or miss. I did like stages like the first Patchouli stage, even if at the beginning there's so many enemies that ambush you. I did not like Alice's stage, and the boss rush? You can't say many positive things about a boss rush. There were a lot more stages I liked in this game than hated, although the stages I didn't like definitely do weigh down the game a bit. Special weapons are for the most part not bad, but there are definitely a few stinkers like Ghost Cutter. I found myself using weapons like Yin Yang Strike, Reincarnation Ghost, Butterfly Stream, and Roll and Slash mostly. Although there are a few stinkers, pretty much every weapon I used had at least one instance that I used it and it didn't screw me over. It might not have made things easier, but at least I got by with them. And then the boss fights. Some of them were really fun, like the Patchouli fights, and then some of them I really don't like at all, like Yukari and Suika. So with all that out of the way, would I recommend this game? It depends really. Mega Man fans would really get a kick out of this game since it hits a lot of notes from that series, especially coming from a Mega Man fan like myself. Touhou fans with at least prior knowledge of Mega Man or platformers should check out this game too. And if you haven't delved deep into Mega Man yet, maybe this game could help get more into the series. For everyone else, I highly recommend playing a Mega Man game first. The Legacy collections are easily available, so pick those up. Oh my. I did not expect myself to spend this long on a video. Writing scripts like these proved to be a challenge, and it definitely exhausted me countless times. But I'm very glad I finally got this video done, because I wanted to do this for quite some time. And it's also helpful since I'm finally producing more Touhou content on this channel. I don't know if I'm going to make any more of these, I'll see in the future. 2020 is going to be a big year for my channel, so I want to find something I find fun and allow people to discover me. I set a goal for myself a while ago to reach 100 subscribers before the end of the year, and it seems I definitely met that. So I'm gonna think bigger for this year. I want to try to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I can definitely do it. I just need to upload more, really. I'll definitely make more Touhou content whenever I get the idea for them. It won't always be a review, especially on the caliber of this. I'll try my best to make more content. But that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It really helps to like, comment, subscribe, share this video, among other things. Stuff like this tells me whether or not I should make more videos like this again. But anyways, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.